just reasoning with joy. And with me tonight is Miss Marchele Williams Seymour. She's all the way from North Carolina. Hey!
Hi.
It's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
With me tonight is a blessing.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a joy.
Thank you so much, Regina.
To have you. To have you. Now, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, let's just start out by saying that I am Marchele Williams Seymour. I was born in Newburgh, New York, 1967, October 15th. And I am originally from upstate New York, but I also grew up in North Carolina. So pretty much my life has really started from growing up with my grandparents in North Carolina. So, and I am a Floridian also. I have lived in Miami for a long time before, graduated and everything. So basically, this is home too for me.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. So how are things going with you?
Well, right now for my life, I can say that it has come a long way, but I've made it. I can basically say that I've made it, and it feels good. It feels really good.
Amen. So how's that North Carolina weather?
Oh my. North Carolina has the best weather. The reason I love North Carolina is because we have winter, we have spring, and we have fall. So basically we're not surrounded by the sun all the time, all year round. So I just love it when it gets cold. Yes, I love the cold. And I also love it when it gets summer because I know the cold is right around the corner. So basically, I just love the way it makes you feel. When it's Christmas there, it's Christmas. You know it's Christmas because it's cold. And we do have snow, y'all, so that's another good factor.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Miss Williams.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
I know that you have gone through some things
Yes.
in your life.
Mhm.
Would you like to expound on a few of the little things that has happened,
Okay.
in your young life?
In my younger
Yes.
life. Okay, at the age of 3 years old, my mother, and I like to call her name instead of saying my mother was named Marjorie Williams. My mother was the best mom that you could ever have as a baby. I don't remember her, but it's like I know of her because of what my family told me about her. My father took my mother's life in 1971 in Newburgh, New York. And
Wow.
when I say 1971, I'm really speaking of a lifetime of being so different from nowadays. Because when I say that, I mean domestic violence back then was just domestic violence. Today, domestic violence means something. Back then, domestic violence didn't mean anything.
Right.
So therefore, my mom was a victim of domestic violence. My father took my mother's life in front of me and my brother.
Wow.
I was 3, my brother was 4, and like I said, she was a good mom. I heard that she was a good mom.
So how did you deal with the fact that you didn't have a mom when you were so young?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. At the same time, it's a hard question because like as of right now, I'm 48 years old and I still long for my mom. I've always longed for my mom. It's hard growing up without a mom. It makes you feel like you're lost. A part of you is lost because I've always tended to look at everybody else. And there was a lot of times growing up when I used to pretend that when I got off the school bus that my mom would be waiting for me, but in other words, it was my grandmother that was waiting for me. And I could never understand. My grandmother had 8 girls and 4 boys, and out of the 8 girls and 4 boys, my mom was the one who lost her life. But I would hear my grandmother say that God only takes the best. And I'm like, well, Grandma, if she was the best, you got all these other daughters, and they're not the best.
Wow.
So I grew up without her, and to this day, I still long for her. So it's not like I'm over it. I don't think I will ever get over it. It's just dealing with it differently now than back then.
So, your dad, what kind of relationship did you have with your daddy?
Oh gosh.
After you found out what happened when you got a little older.
Oh gosh. Growing up for me was hard as far as having a relationship with my father. My father was the type of man that I knew he was my father, but I didn't grow up with him. I knew what he did, but he didn't explain to us if he did it or if he didn't do it.
Okay.
So it's like a dilemma your whole life. Now, most young girls want to have a relationship with their father. I mean, what little girl doesn't want to be loved by her father?
Right.
But I think at the same time, my father didn't really know how to love. Simply because he took her for me at a very young age. So you're looking at a man that never talked to anybody about what he did, never said he did it, never came and sat me and my brother and said he was sorry,
Wow.
and even took it to his deathbed. So it was hard growing up having a relationship with my father. But I can say the good part about it, when you get to a certain point in your life, you learn to forgive. And I forgave my father. And that's, to me, is what really made me the person that I am right now. Because when you hold on to anger and grudges, you think, oh, I'm never going to have nothing to do with him, this and that. But then you grow up and you say, you know, if God forgave, then I would have to forgive him.
Right.
So once I did that, I was able to say, the whole time, yeah, I didn't have a father, I didn't have a mom, but guess what? God was my father and my mom.
Amen.
So, you know, that's basically how I overcame that part of my life.
So, when you were going through that, before you forgave him, did it cause you to have any issue with men?
Oh, yes. Your trust is not there. You don't have any trust. And if you do have a little bit of trust, you still have that doubt at the same time. You're thinking that, well, if my father wasn't there, there's not going to be a man that's not going to be there. And you tend to linger or want that type of relationship. Right. But you don't want to date somebody, especially not marry a person that you want to be your father.
Oh, okay.
You want to just get to the point where you say, okay, I didn't have my father, but you do want somebody who's going to understand that kind of lingering that you would have, because basically it's not that normal kind of relationship. It's kind of like a clingy relationship at first, because you're not understanding that this man is not going to go anywhere. He's going to be with you, but at the same time you're trying to figure to yourself, you know, let me give you an example. I would go to parties growing up, you know, even family gatherings, and everybody's having a good time. I mean, we got the family reunion going on, the music is playing, everybody's hugging everybody, but you know what my mind was then? I'm looking around at everybody, and I'm thinking, they're smiling, they're happy right now. Tomorrow, am I going to be smiling and happy right now? So basically what I would do was shut myself down, because I was saying there's not that much happiness for me.
Right.
They're happy, oh, that's them, but me, you know. So basically that's how I grew up for a long time, not getting to the point where I could say, oh wow, we had a good time, let's enjoy ourselves, and then something about me but like, no, just don't get too happy, because it's not going to last long. So that's about, you know, basically how I would do things back then.
How old were you when you were going through that?
Oh gosh, I think I was around 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, 16 or 17 years old.
Did you have any other male figure in your life when you were growing up? Like,
I had an older brother, but I guess he was dealing with his own demons at the time. Like I said, it was just me and him, and he was older. He knew my mom. He could remember stuff that I couldn't remember. So I always knew I had him, but at the same time, I knew that he was going through at that time. I did have uncles, you know, who stepped in.
They stepped in?
Yes, I had a favorite uncle. I had a favorite, oh gosh, I had an uncle that his name was Uncle Noah. He stepped in later in my life, but he was more of a father to me than my own father.
Wow.
And, you know, and so basically I had other uncles, but I didn't have a father, but they took the place of my father. So that made me feel very well.
But nothing like the longing that you have for your own father.
No, I never knew about that. I think that's why I was I became mentally depressed over the years. I was diagnosed as being manic depressive. Manic is like 1 minute you're up, the next minute you're down. It's a combination of different things. Like I always consider myself different from most people. I would not allow myself to be happy because I thought that wouldn't last. So being around family to me felt like I was close knit with them, but at the same time I was so distant. So that basically, was like the rest of my life when I was going through things then. So, that's basically how it was for me up until the point where I felt like, okay, your life does not have to be this way. There's better things for you. There's a better person for you out there. And I discovered that, but it took time. Most people say, oh, you can get over it. Everybody has their own time to get over certain things. For me, I have my own time. It might be later. It might be, quicker than some people. But it took me to get my own time, to get my life together, So.
Okay, let's take a little break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Yo, you're tuning into Our Praise, and I'm your boy Mike Larry, and this is my other host.
Yo, I'm Richard James.
And we want to let y'all know, man, y'all see these fly shirts that we got on right here? This is real dope right here. This is real swag up. It says, believe in Jesus, and then that's the scripture 3:16 right here. We want y'all to go to our website on Living Witness TV. Make sure you cop one for your mama, cop one for your pastor, cop one for the church mother. We want everybody to have one of these shirts.
Everybody, yes.
Y'all tuned into Living Witness TV. Click on the link, I praise, and make sure you pick up a shirt, man.
Amen.
All right.
Welcome back to Just Reasoning with Joy. Miss Seymour,
Yes, ma'am.
during this time when you were going through the different challenges that you were going through, did it ever make you want to act out as a teenager?
Of course. You tend to want to know more things than what you're supposed to know. You tend to be rebellious, and I was. I had my first son when I was only 15 years old. Back then it was so different than it is now. Like I said, I was raised with my grandparents. Being raised with grandparents, they don't tell you anything. This was dealing back in the 80s, early 80s. And you want to learn things that you're not supposed to learn ahead of time. So yes, I did, act out on a lot of things. But simply another big thing was because I didn't have my mom, And I always say I didn't have my mom. And most people would say, well, you mean you didn't have your parents? But basically I looked at my mom. If I had her, then my life would be so much different, And that's the way I felt most of my life.
How do you feel about teenagers having children?
I'm really keen on that subject because, like I said, back then, for me, the way I feel, it was you had no way of knowing what you know now. My grandparents were very strict. We were in church every Sunday, Bible study, Monday through Thursday. They never talked. They never said anything about sex. I remember, I think I was in the early 5th or 6th grade, and they wanted to have a sex education class. And we had to bring home a paper to sign so that you can attend that class. And my grandmother didn't sign it. So when they did have the class, I was in another classroom. And I felt funny with that because I didn't know what was going on then. So that's just a borderline on how strict my grandparents was. So yeah, there is a big difference now than back then. Back then was so different. When you had a baby or when you were found pregnant at 14 or 15 years old, you were punished for that. You were like an outcast.
I remember.
You were looked down on like you was the biggest sin there was. and you had people always whispering, and you felt just like you were the bottom of the earth, you know.
Like a
So
reject.
yeah, like a reject.
Yeah,
So
I
you
remember.
basically hid.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't tell nobody.
Right.
You knew your body was getting different, or you know, you felt certain things changing, but you couldn't go to your grandmother or your aunt and say, you know, I think there's something wrong, because you basically from the time the look started staring at you so bad, you were like, oh no. But nowadays, oh my gosh, you know, you got these young girls there walking around here with clothes on, with their stomachs sticking out. They don't wear maternity clothes, they just wear regular clothes. They're not ashamed anymore. And I think, you know,
what happened with this world system that, you know,
we just got to that point where things just got lax. You know,
they're
like
so comfortable now.
they're comfortable with that now. It's like nothing now. So you're looking at these girls and they're looking at you like, what are you looking at?
Right.
They don't have any kind of shame about them anymore.
It's like it's normal.
It's like it's normal.
Right.
They don't care. You know, they have so much information now that, like I said, when I got pregnant at an early age, I really didn't have an excuse. I just wanted to find out what was it all about. Nowadays, they have internet. They have, the television tells you everything. Even the radio now says a lot of different words and stuff that you would never have heard that back then.
Right.
There's too much knowledge now. So I see that they don't have an excuse. If they get pregnant the first time, it's like, well, I'm pregnant. They're not ashamed to tell their parents anymore. Second time, oh well. The third time, it's like, well, we got this thing called this certain procedure that when you have a baby now, they shoot them in the, what is that, an epidural? And
in the back?
yeah,
Oh,
they don't feel
no pain.
no pain.
Oh.
And I have worked with a lot of younger girls, ladies, and they talk about, oh, I didn't feel any pain. See, back then, we felt pain. We didn't get it out like just, oh, I just had my baby and I'm walking. No. Back then, you felt the pain. And I look at them today and I say, I shake my head sometimes because I say, if they only knew. I didn't get that. You know, I didn't have that choice. You know, so I think it's just a different generation now, whereas they don't care. To me, I call them they don't care generation.
Wow.
Because they're so bold.
Jesus.
You know, they don't. You know, that's just the way I feel about it.
Tell me about, how do you feel about family values?
Oh boy, family values. You know, you always hear that term family value. To me, let me explain what I feel like family value. I come from my mother's side of the family, which is very dysfunctional. It was dysfunctional back then, until this day it's still dysfunctional. What I mean by dysfunctional, you have the good ones and you have the bad ones. And everybody said, what is the good ones and the bad ones? Family to me is supposed to always be family no matter what. We're not supposed to talk about each other, go behind each other's backs. Don't come around me if you hear that if I hit the lottery right now, I guess I have family members coming out of this tree here, you know. That's the way some of them are.
Yeah.
But I always tend to get close to the ones that will call me on an ordinary day and say, Shell, because that's my nickname, what everybody calls me, how are you doing? And I would appreciate that so much than anything if they just pick up the phone and just ask me, how am I doing? Because guess what? I would pick up the phone and call them. I love you, auntie. I love you, uncle. But family value is so different now. Now,
how was it when you were a little girl?
On my father's side, they were more loving. I said auntie this, uncle that. They showed more affection on my father's side. More or less my mom. They would let you know they love you, but they wouldn't show it. So it was basically up and down. So, you know, family it's always been important to me. It's important to them too. I'm not saying they're not a close knit. It's just that they have different ways of showing it, you know, compared to what I feel like it should have been shown that way.
How did you conquer what you were diagnosed with? Do you think that you were properly diagnosed?
I think so. I think so because if you look at it, 1971, when my mom was murdered, my brother and I were supposed to be murdered too. But it didn't touch us. He did not touch us. So you grow up and you're saying.
So you were right there?
We were right there in the room, as if right in the center.
Wow.
While she and him was fussing and fighting, and he took her life, and my brother and I were right there. So all our lives we grew up with people saying, "There go those kids." We could hear the whispers, "There go those kids," because they were like saying there was something. We were not supposed to have any kind of sense because of what we saw. So growing up as a little girl, a little baby, hearing that, and even to this day, we would have reunions or family gatherings, and I could hear them saying that same thing. There go March. There, she looks just like her mom. Look, they whisper, but they're not whispering.
So they put a stigma on you all just because of that?
They put a stigma on us as if we were supposed to be crazy. We were not supposed to have our senses. Never have our right mind. Just gone. But, you don't believe everything man say, you know what I mean? Because they put that over us. They put that on top of us as if there was something wrong with us. So a part of us grew up feeling like there was something wrong with us until we got to the point where we realized that my grandmother will always say those two kids right there are some of the smartest kids in this family, So we started getting to the point where we're looking around, we're saying, you know what? This is the way the family is, but this is not the way that we are. So that's another way that we overcame that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a lot, but thank God I'm still here.
But how could family do that to, young children in the family? Why would you? I could see maybe people in the neighborhood, but not family.
Oh, family, as they say, family could be your worstest enemy. Sometimes a stranger would come up and treat you better than some of your family. So that is what we went through. Even to this day, I just had a family funeral a couple of weeks ago, and people that knew my family on my mother's side were staring at me as if I was a ghost. And they didn't know how to approach me because I looked so much like my mom. But even way over there, I could see the whispers. That's Marjorie's daughter.
And you're doing so well.
Yeah, look at her. Oh, I can't look at her face because she looks so much like her mom. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. They stare at you as if there's supposed to be something wrong with you. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. I'm good.
As you can see.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, let's take another little break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Now I see, and your love has set me free. His grace belongs to me.
Don't focus on making change, just focus on trying to be it, and maybe you'll make a gain.
It's for God's glory to win souls. And when you forget that, you can get in trouble.
Welcome back to Just Reasonable Joy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, we were talking about forgiveness before the break.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on forgiveness a little bit more? Because you said that you have to forgive yourself. I mean, you have to forgive others.
Yeah.
In order for you to be forgiven.
Yeah.
In order for you to be set free.
Yeah.
So, is there a little bit more that you want to say?
Yeah, because forgiveness, if you don't do that, you're really holding yourself in like bondage. It's like being binded up with stuff that you can't be cut loose from. Once you cut loose from that, then you'll see how things will start opening up for you. You'll see differently through your eyes. Because like I said, holding grudges is only poison. And once that poison is released, then your heart is more open for love and understanding people. But you have to get to that point, and some people haven't gotten there yet. I just thank God that I have.
Okay, let's say if there some other kids, we're talking about young children now, who might be, you know, facing what you faced when you were young, you and your brother.
Yes.
Would you like to minister to that to those children for a minute?
Sure. If you're out there and you feel like you're lost, like you don't have anybody to love you, or you've lost somebody that's very important to you in your life, believe what I'm telling you, that there is a light at that end of that tunnel. You might not see it right now, but for me, I've always saw a little tiny light for me. And as I've gotten older and went through my life and started understanding that God had a purpose for me, the light got brighter. So my inspiration to you is just to hold on. A change is going to come, but you have to make the change within you. Nobody else can tell you to do it. You have to be ready to do it. Once you allow God to step in there and take over all that hurt and that pain in your life, then you'll just take a deep breath. It's like you're releasing something into your body, as far as you know that your life will never be the same. So from my point of view, is that once you let go and let God, I've always said to myself that if I would have did this a long time ago, maybe I wouldn't have went through it. But I'm glad that I went through it to get to this point now, because we all have to go through something in life. You know, I am married right now to Georgina's brother. I've known him for 33 years. We both met when I think we both were 14. You know, and I have a good one. And through all the stuff that I went through in my life, this man has always been there for me. So I feel like God has brought him into my life for a reason. He has taught me to learn, to love, to forgive, to have understanding. So just like he did it for me, he can do it for you. You just have to open your heart for it. Once you do that, then you'll see that you could be ministering to somebody one day. So good luck to you, and I pray for everybody, even for people that I don't know, you know, because there is a lot of people out here that's hurting, you know, but we don't have to hurt forever. As long as we trust in God and believe and have faith, you can do anything in this world. And I mean anything.
So where are you now?
Oh gosh.
Where are you now?
I am in such a good place right now. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I am married to Georgina's brother. I live in the state of North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina. I have 7 grandkids. It's just me and my hubby, and I like it like that now because we have such an understanding that the older you get, the more alone time you get, y'all. So I'm at a good place right now in my life. I plan on staying in this good place. You know, a lot of people say don't look back. I don't plan on looking back. I don't plan on going back. But I don't have to forget, you know what I mean? When people say, oh, you know, you never forget where you come from. You just look at yourself now and say, I done been there, I've done all of that, and this is my reward right now. Just being happy and fulfilled, and just loving myself, because you always remember, love yourself, you know, and just trust in God. And that's what I live by, trust.
Amen. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Georgina. Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Oh my gosh, it was fun.
It was
fun.
It was.
Yes. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.